Now, next up, joining us is Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, chair of the House Judiciary Committee.
Hey,
Mr.
Larry.
Jordan, it's great to see you.
Good to be with you.
You know what? Just give me a thought on China, okay? I mean, the Senate's ready to put a 500% tariff on China oil purchases. I got a couple things for you today, Mr. Jordan, my hero. Give me a word on China.
Yeah, I think you and Buck just had it right. The President Trump's not going to back down. He is going to see it through because that's the only thing that works. I mean, I would argue we don't get this, President Trump doesn't get this amazing peace agreement in Israel and in the Middle East if he first doesn't take out Iran's nuclear capability. Just like in his first term, we don't get the Abraham Accords if President Trump doesn't keep his word and put the embassy in Jerusalem. So the world needs, I think the world rightly now fully understands, maybe China hasn't got it yet, that President Trump does what he says, means what he says, does what he told the voters and the American people he was going to do. And I mean, think about it, the results. He said he was going to secure the border. He did. He said he would cut taxes. He did in the big, beautiful bill. He said he wasn't going to let Iran get nuclear capability. He didn't. He said he was going to get a peace deal worked out in the Middle East. He did, not to mention all the other places he's had a huge impact in foreign policy. So, yeah, this is a guy who does what he says, and that's why the American people elected him.
Jim Jordan, have you talked to Xi Jinping to explain to him that Mr. Trump doesn't back down and that he means what he says and says what he means and that he just had an unbelievable historic win in the Middle East?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you should pick up the phone. I don't know if you have his cell phone number. Someone needs to advise Xi Jinping that he's making a big mistake because he's messing with the wrong guy.
Yeah, the whole world can see it. I assume that Mr. Xi can see it as well. And my guess is that the president will communicate that clearly if they haven't figured it out already, or Secretary Rubio, who's been doing an outstanding job, and his team. I mean, look, but yeah, I think everyone sees you. I mean, you saw this when he made the announcement. Just this earlier this week with all the foreign heads of state standing behind him. This is the guy who knows how to get things done.
All right. Let me just play you some tape. Russell Vogt was on the Charlie Kirk show today talking about riffing federal employees. Here it comes. Hang on, Jim. Coming right up.
We're going to keep those riffs rolling throughout this shutdown. I think we'll probably end up being north of 10,000.
All right, north of 10,000. That's not an off-the-charts number. I mean, 250,000 some odd are going to be retiring anyway, taking buyout numbers. Who's winning the shutdown battle? And do you think that there would be more aggressive OMB, Russ Vogt, Donald Trump in terms of cutting out non-essential workers and non-essential programs?
No, look, I mean, Chuck Schumer thinks he's winning. That's what he said. That's ridiculous. Chuck Schumer, I think, is frankly running scared of the left, the crazy left that now controls their party. And frankly, as I said earlier, Chuck Schumer's having a debate with himself because he supported this same level of spending 6 months ago, but he won't do it now, and they've got to wait for this big rally to happen on Saturday. No, I think the country understands that when you got a $37 trillion debt and the Democrats won't open up the government, the head of OMB and the Trump administration got to do what they got to do, and that's what this is. And as you said, coupled with DOGE, this is all about saving the taxpayers' money and actually making our government more efficient for the taxpayers that they're supposed to serve.
Do you think the administration should be more aggressive in their, shall we say, in their downsizing?
I leave that to the administration. I think what needs to happen is Chuck Schumer needs to win this debate, as I said, with himself and vote like he did before. And the Democrats need to say we're not gonna do what the crazy left keeps wanting us to do. I think that's the key here. But yeah, if we can make government more efficient, run better at less cost, that's just good governance, and that's what the OMB and the Trump administration are trying to do.
Have you ever thought about, Mr. Chairman, the fact that the two Democratic leaders, Mr. Schumer and Mr. Jeffries, they live in Brooklyn, New York, both of them, one short Uber ride away from each other. And of course, Brooklyn, New York is one of the precincts that is about to elect, I guess, a socialist mayor of New York City in general. Just doesn't sound like a real national party to me. You ever thought about that?
Well, that's a good point, Larry. This is the left, though. I mean, and I think that is the left. I always say not all Democrats are crazy, but the left that controls their party is, as I think represented by this individual who looks like he's going to be the next mayor of one of our great cities. So, yeah, I do think that's a concern. But the country gets it. The country has common sense. The country understands what President Trump says all the time, right? We're the party of common sense. It is crazy to defund the police. It's crazy not to have a border. It's crazy to say men should compete against women in sports. And it's crazy to shut down the government because you won't vote for what you voted for 6 months earlier. That is just crazy, but that's today's party. And as I think, as you point out, Mr. Mamdani looks like he's going to win this mayor's race, and he represents all kinds of crazy things as well.
I'm not supporting that. I'm just suggesting that's
No, I
what
understand.
the pundits are saying. Last one, Chairman Jordan. Former Special Counsel Jack Smith, you're the head of Judiciary Committee. Can you bust his butt after the trouble he's caused this country, the wreaking havoc? Can you bust Jack Smith, for heaven's sakes?
Well, we're going to bring him in for questioning, and we sent him a letter. So we first asked, but then if he won't respond, then we got other ways of hopefully getting him to come in. But what I do know is two guys who worked for him, two of his deputies, as part of the special counsel investigation, wouldn't answer all our questions. They took their Fifth Amendment rights. They refused to answer a number of questions, like the sort of the fundamental question: was this a political exercise to go after President Trump? And they refused to answer that question. We asked them how many other members of Congress, in addition to the 8 that you got their phone records on, how many others did you get documents and surveil and spy on? They refused to answer that question. So because of that fact, we interviewed Mr. Bratt and Mr. Wyndham, two guys who worked for Jack Smith. We now think it's appropriate to talk to Jack Smith and see what he will tell us, and never forgetting the underlying thing here. They put a gag order on President Trump. They raided his home. They manipulated evidence they took from his home. All those things happened. The guys that we deposed were involved in taking a sitting member of Congress's phone, Scott Perry from Pennsylvania, General Perry, a guy who served our country, served in Congress. So all that background, and then what these two guys we've already deposed said, we now want to talk to Jack Smith.
Well, Chairman Jim Jordan, I wish you all the best of luck on that, because if anybody deserves it, this guy Smith does, after what he's caused this country. Anyway, Jim Jordan, thank you ever so much. Great to see you, sir.
Okay.